Welcome back, everyone, to the World's 2023 playing stage. Today, we will find out which teams will top both of our playing groups. Starting off with the PCS's PSG Talon taking on CBLOL's Loud for a ticket in the qualification match for Swiss stage. I am Ushin, just joined by the two most amazing analysts ever, the rambunctious
Raz. Goldberg.
Yeah. You're too tall to be Goldberg. I'm wise to your tricks, but yes, of course, Raz and Ender, thank you so much for joining me. What a day so far we've had, or what a week we've had so far. And honestly, a couple of upsets. You're probably a very upset man right now.
No, I don't know what you're talking about.
I can see the veins popping a little bit.
No, yesterday I think we just saw a phenomenal game one.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen top lane gapped quite so hard as it was with Adam. But
you're missing best of ones, honestly.
Yeah. Honestly, that's actually so real of you to say, the BDS BO1s. It was, honestly, we just got outplayed. Straight up outplayed. BA lands this gorgeous hook. I'm not quite sure if that was fully predicted or Crowny sidestepped out of the hook and then jumped into it. But regardless, I feel like once it came to like the mid game and especially in the team fights, BDS just were not playing the map nearly to the level of Team Well.
And it's so important for the VCS how well Team Well's played, because not only did GAM play just like the day before and had a really poor showing, but that's been the case for even just like last year at Worlds. So the fact that they came in, Game 1, I was like already calling it. I was like, okay, it's over. It's kind of disgusting. I'll see you guys next year. Yep. No, they showed up big going into Game 2, Game 3. You're right, BA had an amazing game with his Nautilus hooker we saw earlier on, and I want to see a little bit more of that.
Yeah, and shout out Glory's team fighting as well, especially in that second game on the Syndra. Like the amount of Scout of the Weeks he was landing in critical moments, either as part of the engage or the few fights they nearly lost, where he just kept players alive again and again and again, and just kept denying BDS. If I was BDS, I would have been full-on tilted after the second game and Glory just stuffing each one of their engages.
I mean, the results kind of show they were a little bit. But anyway, it's just kind of like looking at them. But of course, that was yesterday. We come into today and kind of think about where everything's going. Of course, the winners of today will go towards that best of 5. You are still having a little bit of a lifeline, of course. But, I mean, we're going to deep dive a little bit more onto the picks right now. Because, Raz, you have an opinion right now on our man on the top right there.
It's the same thing when it comes to just most planes. You just see a lot of prioritization of, like, old priorities. The first thing I want to point out is, yes, the Renekton priority. I think it's way too high so far in the meta. It got nerfed, at least from the MR perspective. And so I'll start with the game that we just saw, the BDS win that they had. First of all, if you're picking Renekton early and you know that the Darius is possible, what are you doing? So it makes no sense on that front. And so he had a really tough game. In fact, he went Ignite Flash, and it was quite disgusting what we were able to see from Adam in this game. But for the rest of the games, which are a lot more normal, this one came out a little bit more clear to me. PSG, I think, have been drafting really well so far in the tournament. They've been going 4-5 for their counter pick. When they saw the Renekton get picked up, and also when their Taliyah flex was coming through, you saw Viego, Renekton, they're diving us. So immediately going towards Neeko and Kennen, I thought not only was the lane extremely difficult for Renekton, which is something we expected both on the Rumble matchup we saw prior throughout in playoffs for domestically, but now Kennen after the buff is like, okay, you're getting stomped in lane. You're actually now you can't even play team fights too well. I think you got to hold the Renekton more when you're seeing how strong some of these blinds are. Also, forgot to mention, this is a game in which you're picking Renekton early, and then you're seeing Orianna, Xayah, Rakan. I was like, there's other priorities that are so much better than the Renekton right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think I agree to a certain extent, because Renekton is just that jack-of-all-trades top laner in a way where, generally speaking, his laning is quite strong. His team fighting, especially in the mid-game with the ultimate, he's a tank, but also a damage dealer, so a lot of threat on the enemy backline. On top of that, he will just soak up a ton of an AD carry's time.
Yeah.
So I understand why teams want to go for the Renekton for those reasons, but I do think the laning, especially against the APs, is a bit of a weakness. We have some of the lane stats that we can go ahead and bring up now to talk that through, because I think a lot of people will look at something like K'Sante and people are like, oh, K'Sante smashed the Renekton. I don't think that's actually true. Renekton, historically, obviously 0-3 record. Yeah. We can, you know, look past that, but inside of the lane phase does very well against most melees. It's the ranged and the AP champions where he is going to struggle, and I think you have to be aware of that.
And kind of to support the point that you made, even though the record is one thing, Adam's game specifically is a great example. He had a great laning phase. It was the rest of the team that actually failed him.
Yeah.
But I think, sure, first 8 minutes, first Herald, Renekton is a beast. But overall, I think teams, it's just actually harder to play Renekton if you're actually not super proficient as a squad team fighting. I think just it's so much easier to team fight with Kennen, so much easier to team fight with Xayah, Rakan, and all these things. And it's actually now the meta is becoming more of a kite back meta than it is a dive meta. So it depends. We'll see a little bit more. But so far with how the meta has been playing out in play-ins, I haven't been a fan.
So here's the thing, though, is that I think you can get away with early Renektons even with those APs up. But I think there's more context you need in the draft. You have to make some certain accommodations, right? Like when you take this Renekton early, you get counterpicked with a Rumble or a Kennen, and then you also draft a farming jungler or a losing prio jungle matchup. You are throwing away the top side of the map because I think Renekton offers so much gank assist, right? Slice and dice is a ton of range, easy to execute stun. You press W. So then if you have a Jarvan or something and come in, like you can blow up a Kennen, and if you kill a Kennen early in the laning phase, and Renekton hits level 6 first, Renekton is outpacing in terms of the items, Kennen no longer dominates the lane. Renekton can walk in, face tank, clear the minions. So that's where I think a lot of teams are going wrong, is they're not drafting around that.
Yeah, and a small thing too, with Taliyah, how prioritized she is, actually failing more often than not. I think that's just teams not playing as well in the early game, where Taliyah Renekton is historically demonic. Like the amount of dives topside you can make on like the 3-wave stack is the usual. Teams haven't really been doing that. Even when the opposing laner to the Renekton is like dry heaving, like please don't dive me.
And now our Renektons are getting dove by the Rumbles.
Okay.
Like that shouldn't be happening.
What I'm hearing is a bad carpenter blames his tools. It's the players, it's not the champion. That's what I'm hearing a little bit there. But obviously, you know, we can come back to that a little later in the day. We'll see how Renekton kind of develops as we go on. But in our first match of the day, it is two legends of their regions facing off as Maple and tinowns are clashing in our featured matchup presented by Mercedes-Benz. And I mean, these guys are just
The GOATs.
In their first featured matchup presented by Mercedes-Benz of 2023, PSG Talon are coming into the series wanting to make a statement. The returning legend Maple put on a showcase against movie star R7.
4v5 and PSG are burning them down. Wako goes forward and they're all being taken out.
And today he faces another veteran in the mid lane. tinowns and Loud are fueled by revenge after PSG managed to knock them out during the last MSI play-in stage. PSG playing with their food a little bit before blowing up the Nexus, but there they go, the clean 2-0 victory. This is a huge opportunity for the CBLOL representatives to show their faithful fan base that their trust is not misplaced. Both of these mid laners have been playing professional league for almost a decade and look to build on their legacy by leading their teams to the Swiss stage qualifier.
I mean, there's so much to talk about these two guys, but I mean, these guys are legends within their own right, within international, let alone their own regions.
Yeah, like if I take a step back, remember when I first started watching competitive, like 2012, 2013, I'm like,
damn, you're old.
Okay, first of all, we have a problem now.
That's a good thing. Just look at these guys.
If you told me at that time that they would be still playing in 2023, insane. Like 7 first-team All-Pros, started out 2013 Gamania Bears. Like for Maple in particular, just focusing on him as an individual, he's been doing it for so long, and he's been a commander on his own team. So even just hearing him like slightly criticize JunJia being a little bit too aggressive, like he's been there, done that, had the experience, and is showing.
And it is wild that Maple, out of all League of Legends players, is ranked 9th in terms of international appearance. Like, that is just absolutely nuts to see that he has been so consistent on this stage throughout the history, throughout the last decade.
Throughout League of Legends.
There it is. Yes, and the same.
And nothing happened before League.
No,
nothing.
I don't know anything before 2009 or 2009. That's it. Everything after that is nothing.
And that's why it's an interesting matchup, because he's going to be going up against tinowns, who's just done that. He's been a terror domestically, and every time he's going international, he's had those big moments. So I'm interested to see how he's going to be able to play this one out.
Do you remember any moments in particular?
Yeah. I remember it wasn't just a terror domestically, because there was also a bit of a kaboom moment. That was rough.
Yeah, it was a little rough. But this, of course, is a rematch from MSI Play-In's lower bracket. This time they meet in the winners, so there is a respite for the loser. But this is going to be a big rematch for these guys.
Yeah, in Game 1, I remember Robo came out with a surprise rise. And let's just say he's the one that got shocked constantly. It was not just the jungler that was bullying him, it was also the push that was coming through in mid lane. Now, it was Uniboy at the time. Now they have Maple, so they're just a lot more stronger. So I was concerned when I saw that this matchup was coming up. But I feel like Loud has just been playing a lot better, so I think this is going to be a lot closer of a matchup.
And I also think like Loud's bot lane is looking so strong. Like best bot lane in play-ins, I would go that far. Like the way they have been playing has been so strong. Obviously just the 2 games, but Root especially, his solo kills on the Xayah, the way he looks for picks in the mid game flanked by his support has been absolutely solid.
And it's crazy because even back then when Loud were losing in that like clean sweep of a series in MSI, Rell was having amazing plays.
Yeah.
Like he was playing consistently then, he was playing consistently domestically, and now he is a terror. So I feel like he is going to perform no matter what. That's without a question.
I think
it's
that's
about the rest of the team.
That's what I was just about to say. It's kind of about how everyone else around him kind of performs. We have seen tinowns step up in the previous series, even Robo getting himself a maybe pentakill in that game number 2 as well. But, I mean, we can stick on the route hype because this guy has just been so clean. And it does feel like when you secure a pentakill in the first day, like this guy's monstrous.
Yeah, pentakills are good, but usually they mean you did a lot of other really amazing things beforehand, right? You have multiple solo kills here, sniping him out with the Void Seeker, running into the face of a Nautilus and still getting the one shot.
He was doing maybe too much for our own observers because while we were highlighting some of the solo kills that he then went mid lane, got a pick mid on the Orianna. He was making action happen. It wasn't just insular to his own lane, he was bleeding it to the rest of the map, so he is Mr. Reliability. So I'm interested to see if they can, A, get him the Xayah. I don't think he's allowed to have Xayah anymore. I don't think they're going to give him the Xayah. He's probably just going to be banned if it's going up against them. But I do expect him to play just as good on the Xayah, the Zeri, and of course this is when they gave him that Penta.
Yeah, maybe fewer options to find the mid-game picks and stuff if you're going to be on another champion, so I think that is a great ban to take away from him. But still, even if he doesn't have those tools, he is a beast in the team fights. You give him a Xayah, you give him any kind of like hyper carry scaling thing, Root is going to be on the money.
Yeah, I mean, look, if we go from the bot lane, we can obviously look towards PSG and where they've looked the strongest, and it kind of leans back to what we were saying earlier about that top lane, because Aji has been doing very well at picking in those AP picks and going for something a little bit more kind of, you know, off the cuff, if you will.
Yeah, it's funny because whenever you look towards PSG, a lot of the times you're like, oh, let's talk about Wako domestically because that's where they send all of their resources, or mid lane around Maple because of who he is as a player. But Aji has been the one that's been the playmaker on this team, especially versus Loud, and we saw it in day 1. He had just been dominating the AP matchups that he had. The Kennen, he had like, what, a 30 CS advantage at like 8 minutes into the game. He was destroying them. And then, of course, in team fights, his Kennen was massive. So, like, he's proficient on these AP matchups. He can play carry. He just chooses to play like facilitator and tank most of the time for his team.
I'm expecting, though, that for more of this tournament, and also especially in today's matchup, that we do get more of those APs, right? Because I think on the opposite side of the top lane matchup, we're going to be seeing Renekton still coming in very early. That's kind of the way that Loud want to play, where it's maybe a little bit more bot focused, where we can just tank up the matchup, and even if he's down to 200 CS, that's a little bit much, but 20 CS, that's okay for him. But that's exactly where Aji is going to thrive when he works into these team fights. And when you have a Rumble, when you have a Kennen, that's going to put so much pressure on the opposite backline. How easy is it to play a team fight as Root if you've got those huge ultimates landing onto you? That's going to be a difficulty he has to work through.
Yeah, and just like looking at the stats once again, it kind of hammers it in that this team can play through every matchup, every lane. We haven't even mentioned JunJia as an individual that was the finals MVP because a lot of the time he's comfortable. Like if his mid laner is popping off like Maple did, if his top lane Aja is as good as he is, it makes their drafting so much easier. It makes their in-game play so much easier. If JunJia makes a mistake, like he was criticized a little bit in his first series, like talking about nervousness, it's fine. Like you're flanked by players who can perform for you.
Yeah, I do know that the Loud jungler has changed his name in solo queue and CBLOL to Son of JunJia. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see where this one goes.
Is today patricide? Let's find out.
Let's find out. Anyway, let's see what the fans predicted to win in our MasterCard fan predictions. Each day you can head over to @MasterCardGG on X to participate. We got the results in here now. PSG 34.6%, Loud 65.4%. They are loud. The fans are loud on all platforms.
Yeah, Brazil mobilized.
Yeah.
For this
They've got phones.
What, you guys have phones?
I got 2 phones. They're just like multiple accounts getting it in there. No, that's amazing. And that showcases the fandom there for both of these teams, especially this being a rematch. I'm excited to see how it goes.
And now I want to get your opinion on it. We've talked up everything. We've given the highlights, the lowlights as such, but
PSG for me.
You're going PSG straight away. You didn't even let me ask my question.
PSG 2-1.
There it is.
Yeah, well,
2-0.
we're going to send it over to that's all from us here at the analyst desk. It's time to send it over to LOL Park for this MSI rematch between PSG Talon and Loud.
在打世界赛的时候，一开始是非常紧张的，但就是教练在赛前上去以前告訴我比對手還要強，而且強很多，要拿出自信來。自信心非常100%吧，超過了。
Đợt lần này mình cảm thấy là đội hình của mình khá mạnh hơn là SKB cũ. Mình cũng đã train qua với team CSO, tụi mình cũng khá là yêu nhau. Tụi em chỉ cần là giữ bình tĩnh và giữ nhịp chủ trận đấu là tụi em cảm thấy ok.
在我们打的时候，我們都是非常相信自己的隊友，我們彼此都是相信5個人一心同體才是最強的。
Lần này ra thế giới là tôi sợ các bạn chịu không có nổi, tụi mình đã khác người đó.
聽過有，我會出現在任何地方，你們要小心我。
2018世界賽的時候也是來韓國呢，然後那一次比較可惜呢，就是差一場就可以晉級8強，所以這次的話就是希望可以復仇，拿到比8強更好的成績。
처음에 이제 월즈 한국에 한다는 소식 나왔을 때부터 되게 하고 싶었고 한편으로는 이제 오히려 너무 가고 싶다 보니까 긴장도 되게 많이 됐습니다.
毕竟我之前也看在 EDG 的时候看过他们打比赛，就觉得杰第一次打比赛都不怎么会紧张，就是赢下所有眼前的比赛，进入瑞士制。
이제 브라질 팬분들은 제가 한 번도 보지 못한 살면서 한 번도 보지 못한 열정을 되게 많이 받고요.
Com o passar dos anos, aprendi a nunca desistir e nunca ter medo.
MSI 때는 저희가 가볍게 졌지만 이번에는 다를 거고 이번에는 꼭 이길 거니까 긴장했으면 좋겠습니다.
那上次我们已经2-0你们了，这次一样也会2-0。
What's your play, God? What's your play, God? They're gonna crumble one by one. Then we go right into the sun like it's the day my kingdom come. Baby, we're
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Caster Desk. Welcome back to World's Play-ins. My name is Munchables, and I have the distinct pleasure of welcoming Dagda in as well. Daggerballs is back, finally.
And I mean, especially for what is going to be a banger 2 series, yeah. I'm so ready for today.
Do you know what? Last time we cast together was MSI, and last time these two teams faced was at MSI. And honestly, this one, especially from the perspective of Loud, this is a grudge match now. Oh, yeah. Like, when you got, let's be real, destroyed at MSI by PSG, like, they're going to be wanting to come in swinging.
Yeah, I mean, you heard Oshin talk about it on the desk, right? On Last Free Nation, they brought in some guys from the CB Law. They were like, look, the fact that you have JunJia's son as the name of Croc in solo queue just tells you all you need to know about this series. He's been living in his hen rent free for the last 3 months, and he's ready to crack down on him.
It's the most, like, mental damage I've seen out of a game since like 369 and been suddenly playing tanks after that series. You know, it's he's done some damage to Croc, and Croc is going to be hoping to do some damage today. But let's talk about how we're kind of expecting these two teams to approach the series as well, because I feel like, you know, Loud are obviously going to be coming in super prepped. Like, with the context of MSI, you're going to be wanting to absolutely destroy today, and I feel like their first series here at Worlds looked fantastic.
Yeah, I think the big one here for me is like they want to try and put the squeeze in that bot lane. Like when you look at how good the bot lane performed, Root and Sales. Root, day 1 pentakill.
Yeah,
going like,
start,
hang on lads, I'm here. I'm going to be here for a long L time. Like, make sure you know exactly who I am. So I think coming into this, I wasn't impressed with PSG Talon's bot lane coming into their laning phase in their first series. A couple of mistakes. end up falling behind early. Now, they did kind of recover as we got later into the game, but I think if I'm Loud, that kind of is giving me a bit of hope that maybe we can try and punish on this bottom side.
Yeah.
But if I'm PSG Talon, I need to see more like, I want PSG to stand for patient, slow gaming today. I want them to take it slow, and I want JunJia running ahead of the team. I want them, that big circle comp, to be one circle, not like one circle on the right-hand side of the fight and another on the left.
No Venn diagrams, perfect circle.
Exactly.
And look, if PSG is patient, slow gaming, then Loud is let's leg it, lads, because we want him to go in. We want him to be fighting for that bottom lane and fighting for control. We're into the draft, though. Nocturne taken off the board by PSG, which already I think is a good start, just because if you wanted to play that slower style, maybe play a bit of side laning, Nocturne is your worst nightmare, so great ban there.
Yeah, on the opposite side, I mean, we're already seeing that mid-jungle being pinched. Maple had a phenomenal performance in their series. Huge performance on the Neeko in Game 1 to pull PSG Talon back into that. And then Game 2, he was on that Jace, linked up with that Maokai. So already you can see Loud are saying, hey, look, we want none of that. We know that Maple is ready coming back into World's form, so let's try and remove that opportunity to try and play through a strong mid-jungle.
Kai'Sa taken off the board as well. Root going to be a little disappointed in that one. And I feel like that's a ban that we're going to see a lot more over the coming weeks. Like, Kai'Sa feels like it is an insanely strong pick right now.
It does mean, though, there's a lot of picks like, you know, the Renektons, the Orianna, these kind of things that were really, really big coming into day one that I think we'll probably continue to see coming into this. Also, just opportunities to try and go for Xayah being super high priority. Like, and then I think that's why we see Loud questioning here. Like, okay, they're going to go with the Rumble, but you still have Renekton. I think Xayah will probably be first pick up for Wako. It's just such an incredibly strong pick, ton of self-peel. It makes it kind of difficult for Loud to go for a lot of these dive compositions that they tend to try and go towards.
Let's see. The Rumble ban is interesting as well in that a lot of the Loud fans talking about how Robo can't play Rumble, apparently. I don't know whether that's true or if it's just a meme, but certainly something that Gam was banning against Loud, but perhaps didn't need to. It is going to be that Xayah you've talked about as the first pick, but it does mean things like the Jarvan wide open, which can be very high priority. Things like your Orianna as well towards the mid lane that can be absolute power picks, and then of course, the Renekton.
Yeah, I mean, the Croc, but not for Croc. I mean, it's incredibly strong on that top side, and the Rakan as well, trying to separate that Lovers duo. This is a very, very strong already early game skirmish composition that you're setting up for. You can play around the Rakan and that Renekton, specifically around that early Rift Tower, try and play towards that. But also, like, you can set up really well then if you want to try and go for an Orianna pick for tinowns here on this next rotation, where you've got kind of 2 ball delivery systems already, which can be very, very good. But it is already kind of a composition where you want to try and get ahead in the early stages, because Renekton wants to be coming in off a flank, Rakan kind of as well. So vision control is going to be a very big thing I'll be watching out for Loud coming into this game.
Yeah, to be honest, and the topic of ball delivery as well, I wouldn't actually hate it on PSG on this lock-in. You've got the Rell and the Xayah. They certainly lean towards that team fighting, but looks like a jungle pick might be the call instead for PSG. And again, the Jarvan certainly fits into that sort of circle comp that we were talking about before.
Well, I'm actually kind of curious then what the answer is here for Root, because, I mean, if you think about it, we were saying, hey, Orianna going to be really good, but if you're going to take the Jarvan, you can't really go for that for tinowns, because you've got Jarvan who's going to be jumping onto you, locking you down, making it very difficult to operate with the Rell to follow up. And even for Root, a lot of those like self-peel AD carries, the only one that's available right now is Ezreal, right? So, or, well, I suppose you could go for the Sivir, but again, like, yes, you can spell shield the damage, but you're still going to get locked in this little corner. So I'd actually probably prefer an Ezreal pickup here. I know it doesn't work particularly well into a lot of tanks, but Jarvan at the moment, as you said, is kind of going Gore Drinker, Spear of Shojin, so not exactly the tankiest of guys. Yeah.
I will say, the one big benefit of the Sivir is if they're all going to group up in circles, Sivir's going to, if you're not in that circle at the start, you're going to shred through them. So it's all going to be down to positioning. And I have to say, Root's been looking good on the positioning side of things. Like, he looked fantastic in his first series. Hoping to see a similar performance today. The Kennen. This is something we've seen against the Renekton already. I believe that was actually playing it, in fact. Absolute decimation in the top side. So I think very reasonable ban there.
Yeah, I'm curious exactly what Ozzy wants to go for. I mean, you still have things like the Jacks and that are up and available. This is most played coming in from Summer, so maybe they want to fall back towards that, or maybe Loud will actually ban it away. There it is, yeah. And then for Croc, he's already getting himself pinched as well. I wouldn't be surprised to see like a Sejuani ban coming through here as well from PSG, just to try and get rid of more of a front line, because I think that's the last big thing that you're missing here, is that like definitive engage tool. Sejuani kind of offers that. You then got the Rakan and the Renekton to follow up, but you typically don't want to see like Rakan being your main engage tool, because he is just so squishy, especially against things like a Rell that can try and lock him down when he comes in.
We'll have to see where they're going to go here. Loud again, we're wanting to see priority. We're wanting to see ways for them to find an advantage, to find a way to push PSG. Sejuani is certainly a champion that can find you that early presence.
Yeah, and I think that's the big one. It'll be able to kind of match a lot of the early clear coming through from the Jarvan, and it kind of gives you that long range ult that you want to start fights off. So I like it. I think it gives you a strong front line, and that's typically what Sivir's going to need. And especially as well, it's interruption for the flag and drag that Jarvan's going to be going for, right? If he tries to go in, you hit him with the Q, make sure that you're able to keep them in place, and just try and peel for this backline. But we're going to have the Neeko coming in on the opposite side. So PSG Talon going back towards a composition that they worked in game number 1 now. This was where we kind of saw the problems rise, where they weren't as coordinated as they would have liked to be. The communication was off. So coming into this, I want to see PSG Talon be significantly stronger when it comes towards, hey, we are setting up for objectives, we are coming in at the same time, but you also have to be careful on the loud side. Because one of the big things we saw was how good Maple was at finding picks on this Neeko.
Yeah.
You need to keep counting your minions, keep your sides warded, so Maple can't find those options.
Yeah. Quite a few big pot blossoms as well, and it's like, they won. They looked like decent winning, even without having perfect coordination. Imagine if they did get that together. It's a terrifying thing to go up against. The Gnar as well, another circle to play with. On the other side now, Loud, they've got to grab a mid laner. Orianna's still up. Azir's still up. These control mages could be the answer. But like you said before, with the Jarvan, with the Rell on the enemy team, if you get out of position, it can be dangerous. In fact, it's going to be that Taliyah.
And I don't mind the Taliyah here. I mean, Taliyah is still incredibly strong. And again, it's just kind of like a, hey, I want to try and control your engage. You can have the Azir that's a bit more reactive, whereas you can be a bit more proactive with the Taliyah where, hey, I'm going to put down the Unraveled Earth, make sure that Jarvan can't use the flag and drag, Rell can't jump over it. And the only one you kind of got to be careful of is our Maple even coming in on this Neeko to just find those opportunities. So I definitely like the Taliyah here, just adding a bit more protection for the backline. Plus the scaling, when you've got Taliyah and also having this Sivir as well, like Loud, if they can get to the late game, are going to do so much damage to PSG.
They really are. That's one thing that Sivir offers more than almost any other AD carry, really, is the late game. Like one ricochet in the late game, you shredded the whole team. It's kind of terrifying to play up against. I'm liking the look of what Loud are bringing to the table, but PSG, you know, you get the right execution. If they group up in a fight and you do get those ults off, doesn't really matter what time we're in the game. Those ults combined is going to be terrifying.
Yeah, and I think that's the big one coming into this. I feel like for PSG Talon, using those ults, they can play for early skirmishes, really try and play off of the presence that you have in the mid lane, because while Taliyah is decent in trying to dictate fights and keeping people from using a lot of those dashes, in lane she's still pretty vulnerable. Especially if you're going up with like Neeko, being able to get a long-range Tango Barb, follow it up with the Jarvan, it just becomes difficult to operate. So I feel like that strong mid-jungle that we've seen from PSG Talon is going to be something Loud have to contend with in this game, so they don't just run away with it.
To see if they can contend with it. We're headed towards game number 1 here between PSG and Loud. It's a rematch from MSI. Loud looking for revenge for the 2-0 they received just a few months ago. They're coming in prepped. They look great in their first series. Can they face their demons?
I mean, this is such a big one for the Loud crowd. They want to really get a win here, as you say, to put themselves...
The Loud crowd. I like that. I like that a lot.
Into a spot where they're ahead. I mean, getting yourself into a position where you are that first seed, going to be going up against the second seed coming over from the opposite group. So this is a very big pickup for Loud if they can do it. But as you say, face their demons. Last time was a 2-0 between PSG and Loud, and they'll be wanting to right some wrongs here today.
I've got to say as well, it's nice that A, we get to cast together, but B, we get to cast JunJia and Maple back together. Like, back when you were at LPL, these guys were at LPL as well. You know, it feels kind of reminiscent. But I'm also looking towards JunJia and Maple as that sort of mid-jungle 2v2 against tinowns, against Croc. Like, there's a lot of roamability on this Taliyah. There's a lot of pressure that Sejuani can put on. So that 2v2 is going to be important.
Yeah, I think as well, just the amount of damage and one-shot potential you have from Maple and JunJia as you start to get towards like even half an item, you know, level 5, level 6. If you get caught at all as tinowns, you're in a terrible position. So I think a lot of this is going to be a case of, hey, let's try and get some early vision down the river, make sure that tinowns has a safe side of the map to play towards, and make sure you're going to be okay. Because yes, Croc and tinowns will have a lot of CC, but from like a burst ability standpoint, they're just not quite able to match up to Maple and JunJia.
Yeah, not until you got a few items on that Taliyah.
Exactly, yeah.
She's not exactly the mage you know for crazy damage. But don't forget to log in and watch on lollysports.com to earn exclusive Worlds 2023 drops like emotes and icons. Plenty of free stuff being given out, so make sure you're checking out the website. But I'm checking out this bottom lane right now, especially as the level 2 spike comes in. Woody will get out with his life, but Root and Xayah have been fantastic. Their first series, I mean, Root got a pentakill, like, but
He got
just
a
the laning
pentakill,
phase.
2 solo kills, like that dude was having a
He was
day.
popping off. He was popping off. But the laning phase especially, phenomenal in the 2v2. And that's something that really could be criticized for Wako and Woody.
100%. I think Wako, it was mostly Wako for me, to be perfectly honest. Like, not respecting the level 2s being hit, pushing up too far, giving away silly opportunities for the enemy to kind of find advantages or even push him out of lane early, so we get to go for early resets. So coming into this, if Root and Xayah can have that same performance, as you can already see, like getting control over the level 2, even getting some hurt down on Woody, like that's going to be an issue for PSG. So I want to see if Wako's found his footing.
Hang on, we're already diving. Xayah in big trouble trying to move over to his jungler, but he can't go anywhere. He's already gone. JunJia wants to answer and he gets Croc. And there's another Croc on the menu right here. JunJia and Robo in a 1v1. I'm not actually sure who wins this at this point in the game. And they both decide that they're not sure either.
I mean, nice job from JunJia, being able to match the pathing. You can see Croc completely disregarded his topside jungle to try and make that play happen, but JunJia, just having that faster clear, is already up on this topside, able to turn that one around. And as he TPing back into lane, means that he gets the majority of those minions as well.
So, action-packed start already. That's what we like to see. And honestly, that's what we wanted to see from Loud. We were talking about early aggression for this squad. And I love that straight off the bat, Croc is invaded. They're going for a dive and putting Xayah behind in the top lane.
And it's something that we saw Loud do in their last series as well, was try and get those early plays up towards Robo, get him in control of that matchup. And from there, he can try and keep that pressure up. But as you can see, JunJia already knows, hey, look, Robo doesn't have his flash. Just going to spot out the Croc is already in position. Might even try and steal these away. That's nice. Doesn't even need it. Just ends up queuing, steals a bunch of those camps away. And now it's going to start causing issues for Croc, where JunJia knows he has the level advantage, has the push in mid, and actually he's going to have push, I think, on this bot side as well, if Wako wants to try and keep this invade up on the bottom side as well.
Oh, Seth's going to be in trouble here. The feathers not going to be enough quite there. He will get out with his life, but good bit of damage in that bottom lane. JunJia gets the crab as well. And I will say, the CS lead in that jungle is sizable at this point because of that early invade from Croc.
Yeah, and I think that's going to kind of continue here. You can see Croc has to back away. Level advantage for JunJia, although
or does
Croc
he?
does go in, but
he doesn't believe in backing away. He's living up to the Renekton in his name, and he's going in. Root has to back away in the meantime, as all in on Xayah. Once again, the Root is good from the feathers. And Xayah will get underneath his tower. In the meantime, Croc might just go down here. He's not got flash available. JunJia does, though. And he looks for Xayah as well. Where's the red buff ticking away? The field. He flashes away from the Q. The banner's not enough. My God, that couldn't have been closer. If the wave was in, it would have been perfect.
I mean, if Xayah didn't have fast reactions, that would have been perfect as well. Potentially double kill going across the JunJia, but Root still in trouble. Wako's low, but Woody could dive this, and that's where you see Xayah with the tiniest of HP is there more for moral support than anything else.
Yeah, just trying to make sure that the dive can't be an option for them. Absolute carnage to start this game off, and that's exactly what we wanted to see. I will say, though, the fact that it's 2-2, not ideal for Loud. We were expecting them to be the ones pushing the envelope, but JunJia really making the most of that play.
Yeah, I mean, JunJia just, again, abusing the fact he had that level advantage. Like, off this play, remember, Croc completely dips on his topside jungle, so he doesn't have any of that. Aji doesn't end up burning flash or anything, but JunJia's here to pick up the kill. So now Croc has to reset, needs to go back in towards his topside, whereas JunJia gets to pick up the double crab. So you can see here, level advantage for JunJia. And that's why I was surprised to see Croc go in. Like, JunJia hard wins this, especially with the passive on the Jarvan at this stage. So flashes for gets the kill. I'm shocked Xayah didn't go down here. The heal just barely enough, flashes the Q, and then the flag just not quite enough. And Root as well, picking up a kill, will give him the advantage, but we're back on top.
Yeah, Xayah, has moved up as well to try and make this happen, but Woody's here. This is an absolute brawl of a game. Knock up onto Robo, who's got that dominance. He's tanky, but not tanky enough as Xayah turns into Mega Gnar, slams him against the wall. Robo's been kicked out of the fight. Maple is behind enemy lines right now. He's not level 4 after all. That's a pop blossom and a half. And that's 2 for PSG.
Loud were too slow in the collapse. tinowns had first move, but they didn't commit now. Robo just about able to get out, but they left it too long. Maple able to come across. Great positioning to catch out both Croc and Xayah, who had no flash after the initial plays.
I've got to be honest on this one. So far, if we've got 2 Crocs on the side of Loud, then we've got Crocodile Dundee on the side of PSG right now. They're going full Steve Irwin in this one with 3 kills already onto the Loud jungler. Dragon is up on the board. JunJia getting that Scuttle Crab, getting vision as Woody. Might be getting cheeky with it. He doesn't have vision of this right now, but he's just going to be spotting it out. Yeah, okay. Can blast going out to safety.
Yeah, it does feel a little bit like they're playing Knifey Spoonie. Unfortunately, PSG has the knife, but Bruise wants to see what he can do. Takes a scoop out of Wako, but that's about it. But the problem is that, again, PSG Talon, they have the advantages. 3 kills onto JunJia. He's now in behind.
Look at this. Cataclysm forces the flash, forces the W at Xayah as well. But with those cooldowns, with priority in the bottom side, they could even potentially look towards the Dragon because Croc is up on the top side of the map.
Yeah, I mean, but I love this look from PSG, right? When we've been thinking about PSG Talon, it's been, hey, it's a little bit slow, we'll get this come online a little bit later, but like, they're matching all these early plays from Loud, and traditionally, this isn't how aggressive we see Loud play, but they're trying to make things work. It's just fumbling that little bit because Croc's behind. Sales is behind a flash, not able to get himself into a position where he's happy. And as a result, PSG have actually turned around so much of this early aggression from Loud.
Yeah, and in the context of this matchup as well, it probably feels real good for PSG to have an early lead when it's like, there's always that mental game conversation, thinking back to MSI, hang on, we could have a steal on our hands. JunJia is just going to walk forwards and take the Herald away. It's daylight robbery with a triple Gnar on top. JunJia gets the Herald, and Aja wants some kills as well. Pop Blossom and Croc flashes out safety. Robo, you might have stayed a little bit too long on this one. The slow comes out from Aja. They can chase this one down. Robo has flash available, and he will walk away with his life. So no kills, but a Herald for PSG. Oh, he's spotted.
No. Croc, just hop out. Just leave. But I do have that, like, at what point does Croc become the grandson of JunJia? Because at this stage, 3 kills going across, Rift Herald stolen in his face. It has not been a good look for Croc when JunJia's in the area.
Yeah, this is it's a tough one, isn't it? When JunJia's just sort of strolling in, just destroying him, honestly. And Croc, I wonder what his username will be if this series continues how it started. I've got to know what that solo queue idea will become. Robo trying to push this in. I keep calling him Robo because I'm casting with you.
It's okay, Hoshi did the exact same the other day. I was like
You're hanging out with a Rob all day, it becomes hard to say Robo. Oh dear. So far, so good for PSG. Let's take another look at this beautiful steal from JunJia.
Yeah, I mean, really nicely done. And again, I think just watching, yeah, like they're trying to burst it with the combo with the Sejuani passive, but they just barely mess it up. Great smite, and then the ult coming through as well. So really nicely done. Croc and Robo, though, up on this top side, just trying to move in now to get some vision, spot out exactly where Jarvan is. But at this stage, you haven't had to trade the Dragon for the Rift Herald because you sold it in front of their face. You've still got good control over this mid lane as well because Maple has that extra kill. So I wouldn't be surprised to see a play happen in this mid lane and then try and lean that into the bot side.
Oh, yep. JunJia just flying straight in. tinowns, no flash available, nowhere to go. It's as easy as you like for JunJia.
I mean, the second the flash is down, tinowns is so vulnerable. Like, that's what we're saying. It's one Tango Barb lands, and in that case, it's just a case of Cataclysm and the follow-up for Maple. And now, with the push and bot side, there's the Dragon play that you can probably set up for, although it looks like you're still having Loud trying to contest with Croc, with Sales. But I think you just easily pick this up as PSG Talon.
You'd think so at this point. And we started talking off about JunJia and Maple versus Croc and tinowns, and so far that's going heavily in PSG's favor. But the side lanes actually, in fact, yeah, the jungle matchup is, I mean, 1,500 gold up in jungle. You don't see that very often, honestly. Phenomenal start to the game from JunJia. But the side lanes are going well for Loud. That's the silver lining right now. You can see big old CS lead for Robo in the top side with that kill as well. Root in a similar situation where even in CS, but he has that kill on the board. And that is really going to be the shining light for Loud fans.
Yeah, I think the problem is, though, it's going to become significantly easier to try and move that pressure around the map for PSG Talon. Like, You already saw that quick kill in mid. All right, cool. Now Maple has the a little bit of an advantage for himself. He can push in, start to drift down to bot sides, threaten a lot of the dives. And even at the moment, because JunJia's going to go for this reset, he'll clear from top to bottom. Could even be in a position where he's kind of desynced from Croc, and Croc is in a position to try and stop that. So there's going to be a lot of ifs, buts, and maybes for Loud, but they need to try and figure out, like, get the vision in place to try and find out where JunJia's going to strike next.
Have to see what's on JunJia's mind. He's hovering towards the mid lane once again. I mean, the flash is still on cooldown for tinowns. Cataclysm's back up. If tinowns steps out of position, like, JunJia, you know he's got that timing. You know he knows exactly when the flash is coming back up. I won't be that surprised to see them dive, honestly.
Go. Where is it? Oh,
They're
it's so
waiting for the
scary.
wave.
It's
They're
so
waiting for the
scary.
wave.
This
But
is like a
Croc
horror
knows.
show.
Croc knows, and you can see Xayah on the way as well. Woody's here already. Croc CC'd up a little bit. Surely they can't go for the dive with Croc in the area.
Yeah, especially with the ultimate up for the Sejuani. You go underneath that tower, there's very little chance of you coming back out. So they will just call it off. But again, you can see how much of this game is being dictated by PSG. We'll just pop down the Rift Herald, get themselves 2 plates and back away. But Croc taking a good bit of damage.
Yeah, a bit of a CC chain there. I think ulting just to get his aftershock to make sure that he was safe. I really like that ult, actually, as a defensive maneuver. But look at this. Woody and JunJia just go back into the same spot again. The CC chain, not even Rakan can escape that.
If it doesn't work twice, sure, look, we'll give it a third time, see what happens. Like, the fact that PSG eventually managed to pull off the least covert operation I've ever seen. But now JunJia moving bot lane, they want to make sure that Brute cannot touch this wave either.
Yeah, less covert, more just straight up brute force, going full Shrek, just saying, I'm bigger than you. Just running at them. And I've got to say, I'm really surprised at the pace of this game and the way that PSG are playing, because we came in saying patient, slow gaming, and that is not what we're seeing from PSG at all.
I mean, a large portion of that was, hey, I want them to take a slow around objectives, and realistically, it's been Loud who've kind of been fumbling that a little bit. We saw it at Rift Tower where they didn't really have control over what they needed to do, also overextending in towards like enemy jungles when they didn't have to, but I mean, this ward is doing work. Like, you have to know that they're still in the area, and just a big mistake from Sales to work for Maple.
Ooh, tinowns dodges away from the root, and that should keep him alive. And now a TP coming on through, but I think it's a bit too little too late. Robo, unless he can flash in and get a stun, but even then, you don't really have the damage to get through anyone. Strikebreaker finished off for Robo, but he won't find, he won't be able to close the gap. And now PSG having a TP advantage in that top lane.
And give the opportunity for Ozzy to just get a bit of farm without having the Renekton in the lane. He'll be able to crash this one, get a nice reset for himself, pick up his Triforce off the back of it. So even though they don't get the play, they still get the advantages that they needed. Wako even on the bot side. I think Seos was considering making a play towards Wako, but it's a Xayah with flash, cleanse, and ults. Like, trying to respond cross-map to that is a pain.
How often do you see a 2k advantage in the jungle in our MasterCard lane economy snapshot there? Like, this is a game and a half from JunJia. And it's worth mentioning, like, you know, we were kind of talking about JunJia behind the scenes, saying, like, sometimes he goes a bit too far, sometimes the team's not on the same page. We've got to keep an eye on him today. Well, clearly he's had his Weetabix this morning, because he is on fire.
I mean, Gordricker now completed, going up here against Robo. He wants to fight, though. He wants to get onto Maple. Sun's the clone, though.
Robo's quite happy to take this fight, honestly. JunJia being the one that has to retreat in the end. Not wanting to use the Cataclysm, not wanting to use the Pop Blossom, because they need those if they're going to fight for the Herald. But now they've lost so much health, I'm not sure that they can.
They can't, and that is a massive win for Loud. The fact they'll actually manage to rotate people up here to get the pressure. And even when you look at the bot side, yes, Ozzy's in a position to start threatening that bot, but not really there to get the wave in fast enough to really make that tinowns, can even TP down if he wants to. Wako trying to get pressure on mid lane turret, but he's not really in a position to do so. So Loud kind of finding that window of opportunity to sneak one back over PSG.
Yeah, fantastic. And fantastic specifically from Robo to call the bluff of JunJia there. JunJia's coming in like sort of pseudo-ganking, not willing to actually commit to the play though. And Robo's like, look, I know you don't want to use your ults. You know you don't want to use your ults. I'm Renekton. I'm just going to 2v1 you.
I am they'll be all right. I am surprised though with the way the Loud kind of went for the resets there. Like, I assumed they put in oh, hang on.
Here we go, into the mid lane once again. Root has the flash available. There we go, has to use it as Woody chases on it. Xayah's with a good little charm. Wako getting feathers down. Woody taken out though. The ignite to finish the job. Or in fact, Root getting the kill in the end. Beautiful stuff. And a tower in the meantime on the top side.
Yeah, I mean, I was about to say, look, I think tinowns should have TP pod to try and cover that bot lane tower. Robo could have swapped up towards the top lane, but it ended up being a case of like PSG Talon got their wins, but it's when they tried to overextend off the back of that, that's where it came back. And again, needed to be patient. They try to go on towards Root, see if they can pick him off before Dragon spawns, but they end up giving over those kills. Loud, though, not really in a position now to try and contest because of having to burn a lot of those health bars to get that play happening. So instead, they're going to pong that second Rift Tower and get 2 towers on that top side. He showed that wall.
Yeah, great moment for the camera to come down to Azure there. He was looking for the opportunity to potentially get on Robo there because JunJia was in the area. Herald taken for Loud, and it does feel like they're getting back in the game. Feels like a couple of plays in a row now that are starting to feel a bit Loud favoured. Still an advantage for PSG, and I will say, Infernal Soul on the cards this game, worth mentioning, as Azure in all kinds of trouble. There's the stun, the follow-up Xayah, it's beautiful, and it's another kill for Robo, who's absolutely dominating in this top side now.
Yeah, and this is going to be another turret going across the Loud as well, so the last few passenger plays, I mean, PSG fumbled one, and immediately Loud are trying to use that tempo advantage to pick off so many different members. Need someone to go up and cover that top side, though. PSG moving several members down here to cover the play on the bottom side tower, but they will end up losing that wave on the top end.
And it does feel a little bit dangerous for PSG that, like, the big sort of advantage that they've got in this game at this point is the 2 Drakes. But it feels like they're starting to lose control of the game overall, which makes it difficult to get any further Drakes.
And this is the thing, like, you were in a position here as PSG Talon where you can just fall back and Dragon, right? You've got the pick, you've got the vision, you got the tower, you got the vision. You've no need to overextend for this. You're only playing into a position where you don't have vision of what's exactly happening. There's this Sejuani waiting in the bush. And then as well, because Loud have the advantage off of, hey, we've just killed a couple of your guys and you've got a reset, well, now we can start to make plays on the map, use that TP advantage that we picked up. So nice job from Loud to find that, but now it's on PSG to try and fight back here. They have the double TPs. They have the opportunity now to try and make some plays and see if they can take back that tempo from Loud.
See if they can get control of this one. Croc moving in to challenge a little bit. He's got some items now. He's not quite as afraid of JunJia as he was once. JunJia going a little bit sideways, and so is Croc. Do you know what? Let's all just pretend that never happened. Let's all move on with our lives and just pretend we didn't see that.
Yeah, we're only focused on the blue ball. Will be stolen by PSG because everyone has everything up, but Loud is going to back away instead. Still, though, this is where I need to see the game kind of picked up from PSG Talon. Like, I want to see them, as you can see, like, getting vision, Robo.
Maple could be in trouble here, honestly. The pop possum going to have to be channeled as Maple walks away with his life, and now TP coming in from Adja as well. That is Mini Gnar, though, but he can kite this out forever. Look at him go, trying to escape from Robo. Hops over his head as JunJia flies in, but Robo's over the wall, but so's the rest of PSG. It's a 5-man play towards Robo to shut down the Croc.
PSG Talon were so easily able to collapse on that. Like, no push in mid, no real push on bot side. Like, yeah, you get Terra, but they easily collapse. And now it's Loud who are in trouble again.
TP coming in behind enemy lines. It's Maple looking for Root here, trying to wait for the spell shield, but Root, the reactions are perfect. The waiting, the patience is perfect. Xayah will actually run away with his life somehow. In the meantime, Maple's low. The CC chain coming through. The spell shield's on cooldown this time. And JunJia grabs the shutdown for himself. tinowns flies into the play. And Xayah is still running around the jungle. He will finally be found out. And that's 2 kills for the side of PSG and a tower on top.
Nice job for PSG Talon. We said we needed them to find picks to get that advantage again, and immediately they get Robo, and then they start the TP. Nice job from them to actually get the opportunity to pick off Root as well, because now the map is theirs. Like, everything they want to do, get the vision that they need, get the push in topside. This is where PSG Talon can now start to smother Loud, go for this 3rd dragon, and set themselves up. But you'll see here, Croc, you've nobody there. Like, why are you trying to contest this when you already know everyone on PSG Talon is trying to come in through that top side? Root does a great job here against Maple, knows there's no ultimate on Maple, which is why he's playing so far forward. But here, Maple just buys so much time. The stopwatch lets Jarvan get into position, so JunJia, after the Bramble Barb hits, immediately follows up. And then it's easy pickings there with the amount of damage that they have.
The fact that Maple's able to get both of them with the Tangle Barbs there, maximum range, and then the extended route because it hits the first target. Fantastic play from Maple. It's a great TP flank to start, and it's a great bit of mechanics. to finish it off as well. PSG, just when it felt like they were starting to lose control of the game, they get a couple of plays in a row, and now, with Drake spawning in 20 seconds, it feels like they're the ones in control once more.
Yeah, they've just got so many opportunities here. They've already got vision established on the bottom side jungle. They can make sure that they're able to keep people out of the bot side. You see them at the moment grouping up in mid, just get mid control and mid priority, so then they can just lean back, make sure there's no real way for Loud to come in again. Remember what we said about Loud? They want multiple angles of attack and they're not getting them!
Woody's flying in, but he's kind of gone wide on his initial engage here. He's low on HP himself and just throwing himself into his own demise.
That wasn't patient or slow, Munch. And immediately they're going, and here's the TP. Robo's in behind them. They don't know.
This could be massive, but Croc's in trouble in the meantime. Robo gets onto the back line and Wako's gone. Robo shredding health bars. And Xayah, I'm not sure he's long for this world. He's trying to escape. Good little wallop and he'll hop over the wall. But Robo, he is taking over the rift right now.
Loud is hit a post 20 minutes and they're starting to come alive, Munch. They've managed to get those picks, they get the kills, they're getting their first dragon. And all off the back of just over-aggression from PSG. Woody doesn't connect on towards Root, and the entire play falls apart.
Every time I've said this, like X team is starting to take control, immediately the other team gets a sequence of plays together to take over. But this all starts with Woody.
And I think a lot of this is a case of, hey, look, Woody tries to go for the engage. He thinks he's going to have the Gnar coming in to put off Root on the backside. tinowns actually keeps him at bay. And that's where the problem starts to come in. So there's not that pincer maneuver that they thought they're going to have. And as soon as Woody comes down, like Loud realizing, great forward, and PSG haven't killed out. They end up gating Wako's ultimate out, so immediately Robo's able to finish him off. Then Maple's in an awful position because he's got nowhere to go. He already burnt his flash previous to this, so easy pickings from Loud. Great maneuver from Loud to set that one.
And I will say, it's exactly the sort of issues that we've seen from PSG in the first series where they're not quite coordinated. You know, Woody's going in, Maple's nowhere to be seen, Xayah's been zoned away, but there's obviously a break in communication somewhere there for Woody to feel confident to go in. And Loud, more than happy to punish. A great TP from Robo behind enemy lines there to set it all up, get straight onto Wako as well. Wako will have his flash up very shortly though, same for Maple. So it does feel like next time around, you'd anticipate PSG should be in a more comfortable position to escape the Croc.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest issue for them there was just lack of controlling vision behind them. They hadn't done their due diligence in clearing out the wards. So as long as Loud are able to keep this pressure up, though, they should be in a good spot at this stage. I mean, Root's going to clear out every single wave that comes his way. Same with tinowns. So it becomes a little bit easier to shove mid, play for sides. So Robo cut out a little bit here.
Yeah, it's quite a lot of damage into the Croc. JunJia doesn't even get his shield broken there. And Robo trying to return fire. It's crazy to me that JunJia and Robo are essentially on the same items. What an ulti! Wako forced to use the Featherstorm, but the Pop Blossom on 5! It's massive from Maple. Can they clean up? Robo finds space for his team, but is it enough? JunJia goes down. Wako's done. Robo, you are insane!
What a play from Loud! When it looked like it was turned around, when it looked like PSG have found their moment, Brazil comes alive and says, "Vamos, we've got this!"
Unbelievable. And Root in the meantime on Sivir of all champions, just firing away.
And this here, watch, actually you get the interrupt here from Woody on the engage coming through from Rakan from Xayah, and I thought that's it. This is going to be a massive turnaround with that Pop Blossom. But the fact that Ozzy can actually get onto the backline here, Root, positioning was phenomenal, getting a ton of damage off, flashing forward there to follow up, and Ozzy just couldn't have that impact even though he's about to go Mega Gnar at the end of that fight.
Absolutely bonkers. That Pop Blossom, I was so sure the fight was won for PSG. But managing to get into the back line is Robo. Root spell shielding the knockup, like you say, so he can just keep on getting damage out in the meantime. And now suddenly, Root actually kind of matching the scoreline that we saw from JunJia. He's finally getting back into the game. He's finally getting some items behind him. And you can see that drop in win probability powered by AWS there. Yeah. That is a steep decline at the end of the chart.
I mean, really strong team fight. But again, I want to highlight Root. Again, massive performance on day one. 2 solo kills, a pentakill in his first game. Then coming in being a massive performer for Robo, actually. Wants to make sure he might have a performance here. That Croc is still strong.
I mean, Xayah's in mini now. They don't actually have that much damage. Can he escape? The Cataclysm connected at this point. JunJia could be in trouble himself. He's used everything to make that play happen. But the Pop Blossom again from Maple. 3-man takes him out. JunJia still surviving as Croc and him swap places on the wall. Drake not up for another minute or so, but this Red Bull Baron power play from Loud not looking so hot anymore.
This game is so back and forth. Every time like Loud have done it, they've done it. Robo gets caught out of the bot lane and they try to connect, try to turn that one around, but once the spell shield's down from Root, it's an easy pickup for PSG Talon. And now, as you say, the Red Bull Baron power play, 360 gold. Kill, less than a kill, and it's even going to diminish further as you're going to be kicked off the map by Loud, and the Dragon going to be up soon. But Robo just overextended, doesn't have the vision there, tries to go in and thinks, hey look, I've got the Gore Drinker, I've got the Q, I can try and stay alive, but manage with the follow-up here, locks him down. But watch the spell shield on Root. He ends up using it on this stun there from Woody, which means that when Maple comes in here, there is no follow-up, and it's that 1-2 punch from Ozzy and Maple that finishes this off completely.
I love that at the end as well. JunJia and Croc just swapping places over the wall. Let's both agree just to get out of dodge. But now, Drake coming up negative on the Baron power play. For Loud for a second there. 10 seconds on Infernal Drake. And this one's going to be huge. Loud desperate to take control.
Root's cleanse is about to come back up. No flash available. So this Sivir going to be significantly more vulnerable. Even the ultimate backup for JunJia. Whereas when you look at like Wako, flash, cleanse, ult available. This is going to be a significantly easier fight for Wako, who's just hit 3 items to try and take the fight. So Loud, they need to try and play it smart. They need to try and find ways to separate Talon so they don't just go for that big play.
Both AD carries on 3 items, but crucially, Root has a stopwatch hidden in there as well. That could be massive, could be monumental in this fight. Croc trying to make his way in to see if he can get onto that back line.
You also got the stopwatches available for the Neeko and the Taliyah as well, so you have to be careful with who you decide to go for here. The longer Loud can play this though, the more opportunities they have for Root to try and get that ult, or that flash backup available, which is why they're playing for mid. But here we go, JunJia separated.
He's okay, he's got a little pocket. He's quite happy in his little corner there. JunJia getting out with his life. That's going to be Weaver's wall on cooldown.
Look at where Aji is at the moment though. Control over bot side, he's going to start to push in. This gives him an opportunity to try and flank Loud, which is why they're trying to play into these little pockets where they know there's no vision for PSG, but it's giving PSG the opportunity to take control of River, push them back, and then have those opportunities to get angles of attack onto Loud.
Yeah, I like this from Ajit as well. He's left a couple of minions there, so his wave will stack up. Now it starts that slow push. Robo taking a chunk from Ajit as he's joined the team, but he's about to turn mini now. They need to get this Drake before Ajit turns into that mini form.
And that's why Robo went in there, wants to try and get it. Sales and Croc are there, but positioning here for Loud is not great. Ajit ult down.
Beautiful combo with the feathers and the smite to take the Drake. And now a pop blossom onto the backside. JunJia dives onto Root as well. The stopwatch comes in. Robo in GA. Maple turns golden and the Cataclysm slams him into the ground. JunJia looking for more on top. Maple has gone down, but Ajit chasing on through, looking for tinowns. The carries are gone. Xayah on the wrong side of the rift. And it's all PSG all day long today.
PSG Talon are able to take control of River, they take control of the Dragon, and they might have just taken full control of this game for once. They have the push in mid, they can crack open the base here and just be able to reset in time for Baron and Mist time as well, set up all this gorgeous vision on this top side. This becomes really difficult now for Loud to play.
What a game this has been. So back and forth right from the word go. A minute until Baron spawns onto the map. There's no way PSG can end the game right here, so they'll just take that mid inhib and retreat once more. But soul point now for PSG, and they can start to build control around that Baron area.
Yeah, just unfortunate for PSG. I didn't realize they actually had no vision left, but as he starts to come in, like as a keeping Robo at bay here, Croc goes in onto Wako, but look at Root, right? This is, everything has been blown by Loud before Root can get in position. Has to use the spell shield on towards Maple, which just sets up for JunJia. Actually, I think the flag might have cancelled the spell shield there on towards Root as well, so Root completely caught out of position, and then at that stage it's onto tinowns to try and follow up, but really well played by JunJia again, flashing over the knockup coming through from Sales, and at that stage they're just able to chase them down so easily.
Maple has been so valuable in these fights, and you know, he's part of our featured matchup presented by Mercedes-Benz. It's him versus tinowns, and in these team fights it's been all Maple. These pop blossoms have been fantastic, and you know, Root even had a stopwatch in that situation, but when Maple is doing Maple things and when JunJia's diving in alongside him, there's only so much you can do.
I mean, Maple's such a legend in the CS. This guy's been around for such a long period of time, and the fact now that he's stepping up still at this stage, especially on this Neeko, like, he has put in a hero performance not only today but on the first day of games as well for PSG Talon. So, well, just going somewhere with that. Not entirely sure how it was off the, but coming back to it, I think Maple, he is the guy to watch when you're looking at PSG Talon. He has been on this stage multiple times. The nerves aren't there, and you can see he's thriving in this environment.
Absolute veteran. And, you know, a veteran of multiple regions, had multiple years in the LPL as well. Certainly has had his time at the top, and he's made it back to the World Championship once again. He's looking good, especially on this Neeko. This feels like the pocket pick for him this year as PSG. There is vision in the pit right now. JunJia's going to clear that, but Woody just playing his own.
They just want to try and get the TP from Robo, and even they'll get the one out of tinowns as well. So unless they commit to,
I mean, with the Xayah, you can kind of do an insane burst. There we go. The Baron's just gone. Croc's now stuck in the pit. Half HP already. As LLL, they want to move in. Can they find a find out? Adja's on the flank right now, backing away. In the meantime, combo onto Xayah. He's low on HP. He's dashing out to safety and will get out. As JunJia chasing onto Robo as well. It's a long old fight, but PSG, they will not let them go. Adja turns mega and slams them into the floor. Xayah trying to escape alongside Croc, but JunJia got him flying into the play. The blast cone to safety.
They've got the wave though. This could be it. PSG Talon, you've got burned up creeps, you've got super creeps that are right there. Loud, 3 members. Can they hold against PSG Talon?
They're trying to end the game right here. PSG on the cusp as Maple goes for another pop blossom. Xayah with a stopwatch, but it can only save you for so long. It only buys you so much time. PSG looking fantastic in this first game. Loud pushed 1-0 down once again. They had moments of glory. There's time for them to come back in the series.
What a banger of a game one. That was so back and forth all over the place. You've got PSG who are picking up some early leads, then Robo has a moment where he's able to find a pick, get back into it, and then Robo, well, give it and take it, because he ends up giving over some of those overextensions that claw PSG Talon back into a position to fight. That game was insane.
Yeah, that was just mental, honestly. PSG, at the end of the day, though, this composition that they had, the circles, really paying dividends for them. Like, being able to execute on that multiple times. And it feels like the way that JunJia was playing, this Jarvan was almost an assassin, honestly. So often just diving towards the backline.
And I think the fact that JunJia got this early lead off of, Croc overextending on top side, so JunJia gets a kill. Then you end up in a position where he's invading onto the bot side, and again, Croc is trying to prevent the potential dive onto bot lane, which gives JunJia more. JunJia had so much control in this early stage. It looked absolutely fantastic, and unfortunately, we kind of got like this battle between JunJia and Maple versus Root. But unfortunately for Root, he's short-range Sivir, he's only got 1 spell shield, and there's maybe 15 to 16 spells that are coming his direction.
I mean, this is the thing. Sivir's like one of the safer AD carries. We were talking about Sivir versus Ezreal during the draft. I'm not sure Ezreal could have done that much better in these kind of situations, because it's like, yeah, you could jump once, you could flash, but like, Jarvan's still going to chase you. Maple's still going to get that flank.
Yeah, I think that's the hard part is like, although you kind of have that late game scaling from tinowns and Root that could maybe try and carry it, it's just so difficult when you're in that kind of position. And I think when Ezreal might have had a bit more safety in an arcane shift and a flash, but there was just like the long range engage coming through from JunJia made it hard. Maple consistently having flash up for these fights, it was just so tough to handle.
Well, fantastic start for PSD, looking to repeat what happened at MSI. We'll see if they can continue that ball rolling. But first, let's kick it over to our analyst to break that game down.
Break that game down. It's just as easy as that.
Oh,
that was Gods of Chaos. That was just so back and forth. There was so many times when we were talking, it was just like, oh, they win now. Never mind, they win now. Never mind, they win now. It went everywhere. Like, I don't even know where you want to start. Answer the question, Raz.
I don't know.
Where are you starting?
Root had an amazing. First of all, going into the draft, I was like, Sivir, non-believer, right? But then Root shut me up within the game with some of his team fights. So it was a back and forth between some of his incredible spell shields that we'll see later on into what was just Maple constantly being the point of engage.
Yeah, you know, I think it was always the question of, can Sivir survive that initial start to the team fight? And when she was able to, when she has Flash and she has Cleanse lands and gets away, then all of a sudden the boomerang, everything, they're coming right back in, and PSG are getting blown up. But when she doesn't have flash, it is a disaster.
Yeah, I mean, I felt bad for her because that's multiple points of engage. Like, once you get into a team fight, you not only have to worry about the Neeko ulti, Rell going in on you, same thing with J4 ulti, as you already see from this fight, so you just are constantly needing to flash out.
I mean, JunJia had such an incredible early game. Got like 5-1 and 2 or 5-1 and 4 at one stage. Like, he was everywhere.
It felt a little bit weird with those first kills, because like he gets a kill on the bot side, but then donates a kill over to Root. It's like, oh, is he going to be able to cash in on that? And I think he did a pretty good job for most of the game, especially when he targets out tinowns. tinowns sort of has to waste his flash because he used the Weaver's Wall to get into the Herald Pit for the fight, and then mid lane is just a constant point of focus for JunJia.
And honestly, the point that you just made is very fair because, like, J4 really benefited from how action-packed this game was.
Oh, yeah.
The amount of times Flash was used is like, great, then I just know exactly who to target. The carries, at first, like, yes, Sivir flashing out from the first Cataclysm within the lane and then being able to get double buffs, that sounds great, but if the J4 comes right back, then I don't have an answer, right? So it was a tough one early on for the Sivir, but great from JunJia not only to be there in the top lane dive, so he was able to get that first kill, but then constantly make it a pressure point for Sejuani. Just the Rift Herald made me laugh. Walk up slowly, Rift Herald, smite. It's like,
I'm mine now, thank you.
Job's done.
And take the fight. But I mean, like it wasn't all sunshine and roses for PSG.
Right.
Like, this was one of the games where it was back and forth and very chaotic.
The thing is, their comp, like Jarvan, Rell, they can go really deep. And sometimes that was a problem for them. Like here, they're right next to the mid-tier 2 tower. Root's able to cleanse, flash out of the ultimate, and then turn around a lot of damage. While PSG felt like they were in control for the majority of this game. With these two engages, all of a sudden it goes back. Wendy misses that, Woody misses the engage. Sir, this is a Wendy's.
Yeah. Feeling pretty hungry.
But honestly, like when those initial engages miss, it looks really silly. And that felt like it was enough of a bridge almost to get the Sivir into a position where she has a couple of items, and now team fights might actually be winnable.
Yeah, Woody in particular had some bad engages. That was definitely true. And honestly, if you biff some of it, or if Flash comes through, then you're still going to be a Rell that's in a bad spot. So that stuff like that does end up happening. But yes, loved this game with how action-packed it was. And even with, like, as you can see in that team fight, you lose one engage, doesn't matter. It's happening constantly. So I think positioning was really important for the side of Loud, just because Root, how well he played, didn't feel like it mattered. He kept them in the game.
Yep.
But then after one team fight was a success, you're still having another team fight 2 minutes later, and you don't have resources.
I mean, that team fight looked very good because every second counts. And thanks to the reliable Cisco network, Root is spacing the team fight perfectly despite Maple's 5-man Neeko ultimate.
Yeah, I mean, this fight was crazy for so many reasons. First, it is that 5-player role. I thought it was completely over. Robo spell shields the knockup, cleanses away from the stun there, and then just turns and wreaks havoc onto PSG. He outplays the initial engage, and it's over.
The initial engage, that's why, like, at the very start of the fight, I was like, oh my god, Rell not only used his ulti to stop the Rakan ulti to get in there, so I was like, okay, now the Xayah actually can live and play out the rest of the fight. But then, yes, you mentioned the 5-man Neeko. I was like, that is the team fight that you can look back on and say PSG won this game. But then it didn't happen immediately, as you mentioned.
Honestly, though, that was the moment where I think they figured out how they needed to play fights. Because before, it was Jarvan Rell engaging. That fight, it was a counter-engage, right? And then every single fight after that, it was sort of waiting for Loud to come into them and then them diving forward. And when it's Loud to be the ones to engage, that means that either Sivir is close to try and follow up and deal the damage, and you can jump on her and kill her, or, like in this weird situation on the Baron, Root just doesn't really get to play the game, right? Like, they're trying to come in on flanks, all this stuff, and it just does not work for Loud. That was the big difference once PSG stopped trying so hard, let Loud come to them, and then could find very easy fights.
Tryhards, man. There's just crazy, you know? You gotta
just relax.
Just relax. Don't be trying so hard. Anyway, before we head to break, we caught up with PSG's jungler JunJia about his Worlds debut in the latest episode of Oppo Welcome to the Rift.
大家好，我是 PSG 的戴JunJia，这是我在世界赛第一次上场，因为觉得这次的世界赛对我来说特别重要吧，所以有一点点的紧张。比起自豪，我觉得是更多的要对得起 PCS 的观众嘛，然后我觉得要让国外的观众更知道 PCS 赛区有这么多厉害的人。我从踏入电竞职业以来，就有想过中2天一定要去 世界赛，然后变成一个顶尖的打野。我觉得就是不要放弃吧，然后继续多努力的练习，看看其他厉害的赛区的比赛，然后总有一天会来到世界赛的舞台。
You like my emotes, Croc?
Ah, I need to change. I need to get G2.
G2?
Yeah,
Why?
they like us.
Underneath his tower in the meantime, Croc might just go down here. He's not got flash available. JunJia does though, and he looks for Xayah as well. Where's the red buff taking away the field? He flashes away from the Q. Oh, he's been kicked out of the fight. Maple is behind enemy lines right now. He's not level 4 after all. That's a pop blossom and a half.
We can win, we
I
can
flash on
win.
AD.
No flash. Nice, vive. Bottom.
2 seconds by 30
Nice.
guys.
Nice.
The stopwatch comes in Robo. In G8, Maple turns golden and the cataclysm slams him into the ground.